Three, two, one. I'm here with Wendell Potter at the Fightin' Bob Fest in Madison, above Madison, Wisconsin, in Baraboo, of all places. This is Greg Palast reporting for Air America Radio. Now, Mr. Potter, the President of the United States, who usually quotes the Bible and the Kennedys and Thucydides, in the middle of his healthcare speech, quotes Wendell Potter. Who the hell is Wendell Potter, and why should we care what you think? Why is the president quoting you on healthcare?
Heck if I know. I think because I gave some testimony before the Senate Commerce Committee several weeks ago, in which I was trying to describe what insurance companies do to increase profits and how that affects people, including dumping people when they're sick. And this is all the profit motive of health insurance industries.
The president quoted you on the greed of insurance companies. Who is Wendell Potter? For those who don't know you, have been hiding under a rock this past couple of weeks. And why should we be listening to you on health insurance company greed?
Well, I spent 20 years in the industry, and I left last year because I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. But I served as head of corporate communications for two of the biggest health insurance companies in the world, Humana and Cigna most recently. So I know the insides of those companies. I know what motivates them. I know the things that they do, and I've worked inside the industry on trade associations and the front groups that they've created years past to try to shape, reform, or kill it.
Front groups? You were part of front groups? In fact, actually, today you were saying that you apologized and were ashamed of the work you did. What were you ashamed of? Why are you apologizing?
You know, I was a public relations guy, and I think along the way I forgot public relations ethics. I was a part of an effort to deceive people using front groups that disguise the industry's involvement in what, looking back, were definitely dirty tricks. And I see the same things going on right now. The industry is definitely behind a lot of the things that you're seeing and hearing, the language that you're hearing, government take over the healthcare system. It's coming straight from the industry.
You're saying that these people screaming with the signs, waving stuff are just channeling PR operations of the drug companies and the health insurance companies?
They are, and they're not aware of it. They will come to these meetings and say, as one woman told me, no one paid me to be here, and no one had to pay her. The money went from the insurance industry to the big PR firms that put these campaigns together, and that they're the ones who call the producers for Rush Limbaugh and Fox TV News, and they're the ones that have the connections with the editorial writers, and they're the ones who set up these front groups that disseminate the lies and the misinformation.
When you say like front groups, like FreedomWorks, is there any connection between the health insurance industry and this group FreedomWorks, which seems to be generating this so-called popular uprising against the Obama plan?
You know, there's a loose kind of confederation of these groups. The industry will set up its own groups, but it works in concert with a lot of others that have been established and been around for some time. They're ideologically akin. In other words, the industry will look for groups that share some ideological similarities, particularly when it comes to free market. They're all free market champions, and Americans unfortunately still believe that an unfettered free market is the way to go.
Well, what's some of you said you were inside. You were like the top spokesman for Cigna, is that correct?
That's right.
Cigna, the big giant health insurer. Now, what are some of the creepiest things that went on there that you were involved with that made you most uncomfortable?
You know, toward the end of my career, I was involved in a lot of what we called high-profile cases, and it involved usually denial of care. And there was one case in particular that was kind of the final straw, involving a 17-year-old girl in California whose doctors were trying to get coverage for a liver transplant, and Cigna denied coverage for it, saying that it was, in her case, experimental or investigational. And her doctors thought it was the last chance for her to survive. And after a lot of public pressure, the company decided to change its opinion and did agree to cover it, but it was too late. It was delayed too long, and she didn't have a chance. She died just within hours after the family learned that the company would pay for it. And you know, that happens all the time, unfortunately. A lot of them don't make the news, but it happens a lot.
What was your job as PR? to get away from, to cover over the ills of the insurance industry?
Well, as a spokesman, I was a person who was defending the company. Part of the job is to enhance the company's reputation and defend the company's reputation, and to disseminate statements. We often will just create a brief statement to try to address a broad and complex issue, and then be done with it.
Well, you've testified that the insurance companies are greedy, and that was repeated by the President of the United States, quoting you.
Right.
Hey, wait a minute. These guys pay for my health care. They provide a service. Shouldn't they make a few bucks doing that? What makes them greedy?
What makes them greedy is that they're using your premium dollars and more of your premium dollars to enhance shareholder value, to pay their sales and marketing executives, to reward their CEO, and enable him or her to fly around on corporate jets and eat on gold-rimmed china. That happens because I was a part of it. I've seen it. I know it happens. More and more of your premium dollars are diverted away from paying claims and into the pockets of CEOs and shareholders.
Well, wait a minute. I remember years ago when I looked this up, the insurance companies were, for processing your claim, that their takeout was just like a nickel on the dollar, 5%. Big deal. So you pay someone 5% to handle the paperwork for you. That's not such a bad deal. What makes them greedy if they get 5%?
Well, 5% was pretty good cut back then. Now it's about 20%. Back as recently as 1995, 93, 5 cents was about all that came out of the insurance premium that covered administrative costs. So in other words, 95 cents of every premium dollar was used to pay medical claims. Now it's down to about 80 cents. So that's what's happened in just 15 years.
So you're going from taking out 5% to 20%. 1 in 5 medical insurance dollars are not going to medical care.
That's right. And they're your dollars and my dollars. They're not going to medical care. They're going for a lot of things, including corporate jets and corporate fuel.
Well, let's see, by my calculation, if you're moving up from a nickel on the dollar to a 1/5 slice, it looks like the insurance companies then are sucking in about $250 billion off the top of the medical system a year. $250 billion?
It's a lot of money. In fact, just the 7 largest health insurance companies that are for profit, $250 billion passed through those companies in revenue, and they all made billions of dollars in profits, and that's just 7 companies.
So how does Wendell Potter, you quit, how does Wendell Potter and even the President of the United States go up against a $250 billion takeout a year?
I guess
That's a lot of money.
I guess I'm crazy, but I just thought it was the right thing to do. I just thought that maybe I could make a difference by speaking out. I couldn't live with myself anymore. It was a matter of conscience, and I just reached the point that I quit. The decision to speak out was a different decision. I just couldn't stand by and watch the industry use the same tactics and the same fear-mongering and kill reform like it has done every time over the past several years.